Is there really a case for copying? My answer is yes, in order to learn and practice techniques like wet in wet and to end up with a pleasing painting. Only this way can you be inspired to continue making progress in your art. We all need inspiration, and artists over the centuries have always copied other artists' work to fuel their inspiration. We are no different. So when I found this particular image online in at least 20 different versions, I decided to show you how to copy it, to learn wet in wet technique, and to end up with a great snowy landscape. So let's jump right in. Hi everyone, Diane here. Today we're going to paint a snowy landscape. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I found this design idea on the internet. I found it online. I don't know whether it's real or whether it is fake, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to paint it. So if you find it too, don't be surprised because it definitely exists. But what it is, it's a piece of paper divided into three, or more or less, well, just over a half actually, so just over a half down. And then a line is placed across here, which represents the line of the landscape snow, right? And then here, and I am unashamedly showing you how to paint this painting. I hope it's going to work. So we're going to pop in here a little house. It's quite tricky to do perspective for little houses, but that's basically what you want to do. Something like that. You're going to find that the back should go down further than the front, and often people get that wrong, including me. So I'm just going to rub out that little bit there. It doesn't matter if the perspective isn't quite right. Okay, so there we go. There's a little house sitting on the hill, and then another line coming from up here, and I'm only going to do some very slight indicators because that is the line of the mountains in the distance. Okay, now we're going to need some clean white water. Yes, we're going to wet the whole of the background. Okay, all the way down to the house, but we're going to go around the house, go around the houses and down to the line of the snow, and then wet the rest of it. And then there's the tricky bit. We're going to drop into the background as many colours as we can bear to use. So I suggest we start at the bottom here and work our way up and go fairly slowly. Okay, so I'm going to mix up colours. This is my Michael Harding set here. I've got all sorts of colours, lots of different things to choose from, which is ideal for this painting, which, as I say, is a bit of a cheat. So don't get on my back about it. I'm going to just drop in little amounts of paint. Now, the person who did this originally, I have absolutely no idea whether he did it this way or not. But just like Manet and Monet and all the other guys out there who, all famous, classical artists, they all copied one another. They learnt from one another. They emulated each other. And that's what I'm planning to do. So I'm just going to put some greens along here. Any kind of green, can be a light green, like that, or a dark green, like that. And you just put in a few dobs, dibbity-dob, like that. And then we might go for an orange, for example, like burnt sienna. No idea what this is going to turn out like. No idea at all. But what I do know from looking at the one that I'm looking at is he dropped in the colours in small amounts, okay, and then let them just run around. Now, I don't know, but I think he might have used a little bit of opaque colour here and there to sort of hold back the flow. Perhaps he might have done that. Of course, this could have been, and these are the bright ones going in here, a few of them, because there's always a few bright colours left at the end of autumn. And behind the trees, we're going to put some really quite dark green. I've got too many greens in this set. I chose the colours for this, and I think I chose fairly badly because I definitely chose too many greens. Should I put a chimney in there? I can't, because I've made it wet. And we could start giving some of the trees a little bit of shape by kind of going up a bit like that. I have noticed clearly AI paintings recently. I'm going to put a little bit of mauve in here, which have been signed. I'm not quite sure how that happens. Yeah. I don't know. I suppose if you consider it's okay to do that, so you make a painting on a computer, you get the computer to do the work, but then you were the one who asked the computer to do it, so why shouldn't you sign it in your name? I suppose that's reasonable, isn't it? Is it? Okay, so we're going to have to come down here. This is drying a little bit. Gosh, you'd think we were in... Oh, it's the AC, of course. Yeah, so I'm going to use up some of these pre-mixed colours that I've got here that have lasted from before. Just pick up some of them at random. Some of them might be a bit dirty, but it doesn't matter. I have another bit of dark green over here. And the idea is, of course, well, you might want to come back in where it's gone a bit too light. To get patches of colour that just look nice. I think that must be the idea, because it really actually doesn't look much like any forest I've ever seen, but that doesn't matter, does it? So I'm just dropping a bit more purple in. Just going to turn out a bit brownish. I think that yellowy one there, well, I don't know, I might leave that because that makes me think of larches and things like that. So let's carry on up here. This mauve. And my horizon line is there, so what I want there is blue, really. So we'll pick up a bit of blue and we'll mix it over here, and then I'm just going to put more blue. And if we flick up from down below, a little bit like that, get the idea of I'll put the name of the person whose original work this was in the description below, in case you're interested in looking him up. I haven't actually paid much attention to his other work. I'm sure it's lovely. It's just caught my eye. I was thinking, what shall I do? And so then I thought, oh, that looks quite fun, and it will use up some of my paint. I'm going to lift out a little bit of that brownish down there and put a bit more green in there, I think. When you drop colours in like that, try not to disturb what's underneath too much. Okay, so now we can go down to the house. And of course, this is obviously a Canadian house. And so we're going to paint it in a nice rusty brown. I'm not going to worry at all about windows or anything like that. And we're not going to give it a straight line down there. So it looks a bit more like snow that way, right? Afterwards, when it's dry, we can put a little snowy chimney in. And then the final step, this is it, it's going to be over in a minute. And I need a big brush. So for example, one of these. This is a quill brush. This is a size 6 and it's a Paul Rubens one. And I need my brush to be reasonably clean. And I want some nice, I think ultramarine blue would probably be a good one to do it in. But I do want it to actually be clean, so I'll get myself a clean palette. And this is ultramarine blue deep. I don't know what that's going to be like. I can't get the thing open. There we go. This is Old Holland paint. Don't use it as often as I should, but let's see. Yeah, that's quite dark, isn't it? So to soften that, we need a tiny dab of burnt sienna, which will make it more greyish. Okay, that should do. And then I'm going to just do what he did, which is just put in a sweep of colour across there. And then a bit more darker in the foreground here. Now that will do. And maybe what we'll do as well is just soften this line here and maybe a tiny bit more. And I'm going to just put a little bit more shadow up there too, and a tiny bit on the roof, like that. And then here's a trick you can do. I just need some paper towel, paper tissue, whatever. I'm just going to lift up some of that colour there. Oh, what's that? Break that a little bit. Okay. And that's your snow looking a little bit greyish in the foreground especially. And we'll let that move around and dry. So when that's dry, we'll see what we can see. Now, the next thing to do, obviously, is put in the chimney, which we didn't do before. So we'll just put that in like that. You could put a window or something like that in here, but I think it probably is better without. If anything's gone wrong, that's where you can just correct it a little bit. So, for example, you could just change that line a little bit there, make it a bit more floofy. And then the final touch, of course, is to make some spatter. So we need to find a toothbrush. Well, I can't find the toothbrush, so I think I'll use my bagger brush. And I need to obviously dip into some white paint. So we'll put that on here. I want to put some snow on my painting, and my toothbrush has gone walkabout. I had loads of them here. Where have they gone? Okay, let's see if that's going to work. We have to try it out first on something else. This has already got a bunch of... That'll do, that'll work. A bit more water. Okay. There we are. It's probably easier to control than using a toothbrush, so we just tap the brush like that until we've got a suitable amount of snow falling. So, there we are. I think I should pop that in a frame. So there we are. I've just put a quick mount around it. Doesn't quite fit, but anyway. Easy painting, very effective, nice to do, no problems there. You can make it your own, put any kind of number of houses. Just a demonstration really of how to do a very loose background with lots of different colours in it, just letting them blend as you paint up, coming from the horizon up into the sky. It won't be an original, but it is a technique that you should learn how to cope with and manage a wet in wet wash properly, and then wet on dry. I hope you enjoyed that. I'll let you go now. Take care, do lots of painting. See you again soon. I'll say bye for now, everybody. Bye-bye.